Okay. So tonight is the Q&A. So we will go through some of the questions. It's quite long, I would say, for tonight. All right, let me see. Okay. Question 1. In one sitting last week, I observed rise and fall of the abdomen was fast rising and passing away almost immediately. After half hour, the knowing might observe thoughts arise and pass away without knowing the content of the thoughts. After a short while, the knowing might realize that there was mindfulness following behind the arising and passing away of the thoughts. The mindfulness was only aware, but the knowing mind put meaning into it, like translating what it had observed. The knowing mind also passed away too. Towards end of meditation, there was a loud sound, then observed mindfulness was following behind the sound as it arise and pass away. There was a gap before the knowing mind realized meaning of the sound is actually the alarm ring. It's like the mind has become slow in perceiving the object. Would appreciate Bhante's guidance. Thank you. Sadhu with Metta. Now, here, whatever that you are doing right now, it's perfectly all right. One of the things is that we just have to be careful in trying to put every meaning into what we are observing. Sometimes there are yogis who are try to everything that they notice, they want to put. What is that? I mean, they want to think about it now. They want to think about it. Oh, I'm looking at a phenomena of wind element. They have to think about it. So that one, we have to be careful. Sometimes those things, if it just pop up for a short while, it gone. Then all right. Don't entertain it too much. This type of thinking. So during in the vipassana while you're sitting is just only to observe what is really going on. Now also the mind becomes slow in perceiving the object. Now during in the vipassana, sometimes when the mindfulness and concentration is going into a more continuous manner, then the mind doesn't really wants to be connected with the external objects. External means here are the five senses. So when there are certain sound arises, sometimes the mind will take a while just before it goes there. And therefore you can able to see a little gap there. It's not that we are slow, it's just that the mind is not so interested in those type of things. Especially when the mindfulness and concentration, they are continuous and clear. So don't worry. The mind will be perfectly all right after after a while. You come out from meditation and you do other things, and the whole mind will be in the external objects. It won't be much in the internal. So when these things happen, so it's perfectly okay. So don't worry about it too much. Sometimes there will be times that we are totally not interested in it also, in those external objects like sound and so on. So next time the alarm ring, don't worry about it. If you can, just carry on meditating. If you really cannot, of course, then of course we get up from the sitting. But if you could, just carry on with the meditation. Okay. All right. Next question. This is question 2. Labeling rising, falling, numb, wandering, thinking, etc. helps a yogi in focusing on the phenomena. Do we carry on with the labeling when our focusing has improved? Then here is yes and no. No first. Huh? Sometimes when our mindfulness is continuous, and especially like when the mind is especially in the third insight, fourth insight, when the mind is much more continuous. Not, third insight is the knowledge of comprehension and knowledge of arising and passing away. Now, those area is where your mind is quite continuous. You know, the nature of your meditation is quite continuous. Then that time, if you put in the labeling, then the labeling will be a hindrance to your observation. So during this time, we let it go for a while. We let it go, and then we just keep noting on it. Of course, if you haven't reached to that stage, there will be at times you can drop it. You can drop the labeling just to try it out and see whether your observation is getting clearer in that sense. So yes, so in a way we drop the labeling, and then we fully observe what is really going on at that moment of time for a period of time. We don't, but then we also need to bring back the labeling at certain time, even when you are enlightened also. Even you are Sotapanna or Sakadagami or whichever. And sometimes we bring back the labeling too. We bring back the labeling because it is very helpful to overcome certain, like for example, hindrances or sleepiness. Then that time when your mind is not active, that will be good to bring back the labeling, even though you have been enlightened. Then we bring back the labeling in order for us to stimulate the mind again, because the labeling itself, it brings about effort. It brings about energy, it brings about mindfulness, it brings the mind to it directs the mind to the object. That would be very good. So we use the labeling whenever it is necessary. But for beginners, it is much better that you use the labeling, like for example, like 90% or 100% of the time while you're sitting. And also while you're walking, if you are doing walking meditation, then also would be good that you use the labeling for beginners. And then slowly, you getting better. That means after a week or 2 or 3, or maybe after 1 or 2 retreats, that things getting better. Then you slowly drop it for a while and see whether the mind can still hold on to the object, observe the object or not. So this labeling, you must realize, you must use it as a tool to help you to get the mind more continuous mindfulness, more clearer mindfulness. If your mind is clear, you drop it. If your mind is not clear, then you bring it back again. So as I said, you bring it back again when your mind is sleepy, like also when you are restless, also when your mind is like not energetic, like in the morning. Then use the labeling in order just to stir up the mind. So labeling is a very useful tool. Number 2, naturally, most of us will not attain Magga and Phala. So we need lives after life plans to establish strong affinity towards the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, so that in the next lives we will A, not fall into woeful states, B, have strong affinity towards Buddha Sasana, able to maintain right view and wisdom to connect to the Buddha Dhamma, to continue our unfinished striving until Magga Phala. What are the necessary things or effort, etc., we need to do to arrive at this advantageous position? All right, good. Naturally, most of us will not attain Magga and Phala. Now, this one is it's, I think it's kind of like defeating the whole purpose of the whole teachings of the Buddha, you know. Here, I put it in this way. It's not that most of us will not able to attain Magga and Phala. It is that most of us will not want to strive. Then, therefore, the Magga Phala will not arise. Or we strive not enough. If you strive, if you really want to give up a lot of things, and then if you strive, then it's possibly within this very life. So, you can't put that in this one. It's just a matter of whether you want to strive or not. And you strive, of course, you have to strive here, strive rightly also. Yeah? So we need life after life to plan, establish for the affinity towards the Buddha Dhamma. So in the next life, we will not fall into woeful states. That statement also not so correct. Why is it not so correct? Because you have to I can't say you remember. I mean, you have to realize that in the past life, you also done a lot of bad deeds and a lot of unwholesome deeds, and they too have karma. And the karma is just waiting. So this life, since you meet with the Buddha Dhamma and you do a lot of good, of course there is also a lot of wholesome actions, and then there will be wholesome, happy result then. So in the past life, or even in this life before you meet with the Dhamma too, then you have been doing perhaps lying, stealing, killing chicken or whatever, you know. Then you still have to bear up with your unwholesome karma. So in the next life, we hope that we're not able to fall with the woeful states. That also is not easy for us to this one. As long as you are not enlightened, as long as you are not Sotapanna and above, then these woeful states the door will not close. So therefore the our unwholesome resultant will still able to bear up in the future lives also. So not fall in the woeful states. It is partially true, not true entirely. B, we have strong affinity towards the Buddha Sasana, able to maintain right view. This one also is not totally correct, also partially correct, but not totally correct. Because in the next life or in the future lives, we do not know that when we will able to meet with the Dhamma again. Because the Buddha Sasana, the Buddha's teaching, it's limited time. So we may reborn in a time where sometimes they call it the dark, where the dark times where you do not have any teachings of the Buddha. So say for example, if you die right now, since you do a lot of good deeds, and then you reborn in the heavenly worlds, and then you go play, you forgot about your Dhamma and so on. And then after that you die, you're reborn in a human realm again, let's say. And then with that, by the time you come back, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 years gone, let's say, then you come back, there's no Dhamma there. So when there's no Dhamma, then since you're not enlightened, and then therefore you'll be doing a lot of unwholesome deeds. You may do a lot of wholesome deeds too, but still, because there's no Dhamma to guide you, then possibility there's a lot of unwholesome deeds. Then again we go back to A, fall back into the woeful states. So we try to finish it in this life. But nevertheless, what are the advantageous things, effort we need to arrive at this advantageous position? The answer is simple. Anything that you want to develop, it has to bring about wholesome merits, good merits. So therefore, it falls back under Dana, Sila, and Bhavana. this trait that brings about strong merits. So if you want to meet with sasana and not fall in the woeful states, or you minimize your percentage, you minimize your percentage, therefore a lot of dana, a lot of wholesome actions, wholesome speech, and wholesome mental development. So dana, sila, bhavana. So all these things, again, we do not have much time. We can able to talk right now for this one. But nevertheless, you bear up with me. But in the next few talks, we will go into those areas. Because when we come into the Noble Eightfold Path, then there's a lot of fundamentals that we have to develop. Because after all, the Noble Eightfold Path is about development. So we will look into it. So finally, so here in short is dana, sila, bhavana. Then when you do a lot of wholesome deeds, then definitely you will be there. Okay. Now, some of us, number 3, some of us could have made some vows which would block our progress of insight, like Sammasambuddha vows or some attachment vows. How to undo or nullify those vows? The vows. Okay. Now, here, if you made this type of vows in the past, and you find that these vows is not appropriate for you, and then you want to strive for the Magga and Phala or enlightenment, all you need to do is sincerely, you renounce those vows. You just tell yourself, or you just make an adhitthana. You make a vow, for example, like I fully give up on the path of Buddhahood, for example. I totally give up. Then you make a new adhitthana that you want to strive in this very life. You want to strive in this very life and attain the Magga Phala in this very life. Something like that. So once you nullified it by adhitthana, then of course you have to do it sincerely, and not like your mind is halfway here and there, So you have to be sincerely, fully to renounce a certain vow. So it doesn't need to have special rites or rituals and so on. All you need to do is make sure that your mind is clear and you undo those vows. Okay? All right. Next question. What is the difference between samatha and vipassana meditation? 2, satipana is the basis to develop vipassana. Elaborate on this idea. Bhante, the above are real questions that appeared in the Young Men's Buddhist Association YMBA exam, which is conducted by YMBA Sri Lanka. This YMBA exam is yearly exam for international students of Buddhism, testing their knowledge of textbook. But knowledge sometimes can be different from the real insight. So I wonder if Bhante can share your views to the 2 questions from the standpoint of vipassana or direct insight. Thank you. Now, first of all, I have to put a very clear caveat here. Whatever I'm going to say afterwards, you don't go and put it into your exam paper, You don't put it into your exam paper. Although it may be some of the things may be the same, but if some of you are going through all these exams, like Sri Lankan exam or some Malaysian Buddhist type of exams, they have this exam test questions that yearly the students, if they would like to participate, then they sit to fit that question, to this type of exams. For me, at one time people asked me whether I want to go through these exams or not. Before I was a monk, I said it's enough already. I just finished all the school and everything. It's full of exam already. Sometimes it give me nightmares also. And here I don't want to go into another exam. So, so for me, that is for me. For other people, it's perfectly all right if you want to go through it. And also, it's good that we through these exams, then a lot of book knowledge, a lot of theoretical knowledge you can able to gain. But for the sake of answering this question, for you to get a diploma or certificate, you have to go through the module, or you have to go through the handouts that is given to you. At least they understand that. At least they understand, the within the framework that you can able to answer, that you understand those modules that they gave you. So anyway, that's it and done. So you have to go through those modules that they gave you, and you answer it accordingly when it is during the exam. Okay, but here, since we are doing a Q&A session and we are connected with our practice, meditation, understanding, then let's answer it in the sense of just a normal Q&A. So what is the difference between samatha and vipassana meditation? Now, samatha and vipassana meditation, first of all, we look at the purpose. We look at the purpose. We look at the objective or its goal. Vipassana meditation, as you all know, its goal is to get out of this cycle of birth and rebirth, or seeing or realization of nibbana, or eradication of all the defilements. Whereas samatha is not. Samatha is the purpose is to able to attain jhana. And with the attainment of jhana, some people able to develop some psychic powers. So basically, most of them, they're able to, the purpose here is finally to attain the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth jhana. And then with this jhana also, there are also still rebirth in the next life. And the next life, if he able to maintain the jhana, then he can reborn in the Brahma realms of existence, not in the sensual realms, not in the heavenly, but more towards the Brahma realm. So vipassana meditation is not. Finally, in the vipassana meditation, nibbana is to cut off this cycle of birth and rebirth, no more existence. So this is the purpose here. Secondly is the object. The object is taken up by vipassana meditation. They are what we call the real object or ultimate reality. In the sense that you don't have to think about it, they are already there. For example, you take up in breath, out breath. You can able to see the breath going in, going out, or you can take this rising, falling, or you can take this pain, sensation of the body. They are real. You don't have to think about them. You just put your attention there. Then long enough, you will see its characteristics, and you also will see its arising, passing away, anicca, dukkha, anatta, then all the way to enlightenment. Whereas samatha, they do not take conceptual. They take up conceptual object, and they don't take up ultimate reality. A few may take up ultimate reality in the beginning part, in the sense that, for example, if you are doing anapanasati again, then the in-breath, out-breath, initially you take up the actual breath itself. But slowly and slowly, when you go into a deeper aspect, you drop the ultimate reality, and then you develop that the mind-made object. That means it's a counterpart of what is going on with the in-breath, out-breath. And the mind is creating that in-breath, out-breath in the mind right now. It's creating. So it's a concept, right? At the end too. So they're taking up conceptual object in order to develop the mind to develop into jhana. So the object here, one of it. What else in the in the vipassana and samatha. You see, again here, the state of mind, the state of mind in the samatha and the state of mind in vipassana, although both of them, they have mindfulness, they have concentration, wisdom too, but the way that how the mind is used on noticing the object is slightly different. Yeah. In the samatha, we notice it in the sense of you put the attention there, you put your mindfulness there, but you don't go and see how it change. You don't go and see how it arises and it passes away. Your mind is just stay there and just keep your mind peaceful and calm. With that, mindfulness also able to develop if you know how to develop that. Then it develops the mindfulness, it becomes more clearer, more stronger, it develops into these conceptual objects, and then later part it goes into jhana. Whereas in the vipassana, the state of mind that's observing, they are more towards looking and searching and investigating the nature of an object. Say, for example, if you notice the rising and falling, you want to see how it moves. You want to see how far, how fast it moves, whether it slow down, whether it turn this way, whether it go this way, whether it's twisting, whether it's stopping, whether it's rising, whether it's passing away. The mind is directly towards that part of it. So these are the three parts of samatha and vipassana meditation. One is the purpose, one is the object, and one is the how the mind that pays attention to the object. Number two, satipatthana is a basis to develop vipassana. Elaborate on this idea. Now satipatthana here. We have to understand its purpose. Sometimes there are meditators who meditate. They are not clear about the purpose and they think that they are doing satipatthana. For example, if you are doing mindfulness meditation, then nowadays there's a lot of people doing daily mindfulness meditation, and they have sort of like a mindfulness meditation that to overcome certain of your pain, overcome certain of your mental anxiety. But it's not for the purpose of getting out of this cycle of birth and rebirth, not for the purpose of enlightenment. Therefore, it doesn't fall under vipassana, although it develops mindfulness, concentration too. Now, satipatthana has to have that quality, even before you meditate, you must have the direction or you have the goal for the purpose of enlightenment. Then when you have the purpose of enlightenment, then this satipatthana can be developed in two ways. Samatha yanika or Suddha vipassaka yanika. In the sense that samatha, in the sense of samatha, you can develop samatha and vipassana together. But then the samatha is for the purpose of calming down the mind. But overall, this one is for the purpose of getting out of samsara. Then that samatha that you practice falls under satipatthana. If you practice this samatha meditation and you want to have a Brahma rebirth, and you don't want to get out of samsara, you would just want to have Brahma rebirth, then that samatha meditation does not fall under satipatthana. Okay? So satipatthana is always that direction. So whatever that you do under that umbrella of satipatthana, then it falls under satipatthana. Even while you are eating mindfully, you are eating this one, then for the sake of enlightenment, that also is fall under satipatthana. Next time, if you you make your arms round, you make your arms, and then the whole you offer it mindfully, you offer it carefully. Then you says that you want to realize nibbana in this very life, for example. Then yes, it also, and I mean in the sense that it falls under satipatthana too, but more or less of a, you are trying to perfect your parami here. But anyway, the whole purpose of this satipatthana is to have the direction towards that goal of nibbana. So therefore, vipassana, naturally, if you practice vipassana properly, then it goes into that path to that enlightenment. So satipatthana can develop with samatha and vipassana, or satipatthana can develop with vipassana alone. When you say vipassana alone, also if you look into it a bit more, actually there's still some degree of samatha that you have to develop. You still have some degree, in the sense that you don't develop into jhana, but you need to calm the mind down on a certain sense in order for the hindrances to temporary not there, in order for you able to notice what is really going on. So if you are just taking vipassana path, although in general we say you are taking a vipassana path, but if you are looking into it more carefully, then there is a certain degree of samatha too. It's just that we don't develop jhana. Whereas in the other one, in the samatha yanika, they develop jhana. They develop the jhana, and then with the jhana, they use that jhana as a basis to develop vipassana. Then because that jhana is very helpful to clear a lot of all the strong defilements, at least temporary, and then with that, their mind is very clear, bring that clarity, noticing the objects of vipassana, then they develop from there. Also can. So satipatthana is the basis to develop vipassana. So it all this way lah. I don't know what is the basis, what basis that you still want, something like that. Anyway, so as I said, this one, whatever I said here may not be appropriate for the exam, It's just for the discussion over here. All right, next question. Bhante, at your last Dhamma talk regarding the 16 insight knowledge, if one reached level number 13, the change of lineage, and thereafter not realize one have passed through that enlightenment, and it may just happen a few seconds only, and have no theoretical knowledge during that time. What kind of defilements or type of fetters can be eradicated at this level? Will one get more resultant karma at this level, as if not realize and commit unwholesome karma, especially on mental type of defilement, if one not sure or not really reach the path or sotapanna? Your second question is a little bit too many questions. I can't really fully understand, but overall, I think I think I know. Let's go with the first question first. So what kind of defilements or type of fetters can be eradicated even though you do not have any, let's say that yogi does not have knowledge about it is already nibbana. So as long as one passed through that, like 2 days ago, as I said, those enlightenment mental process, or another word, the insight leading to emergence, that a series of consciousness is passing through. Then within that consciousness, after the change of lineage, is the path consciousness. which is the insight number 14. Change of lineage is 13. So whether one knows it or one does not know it does not matter. What matters is that the path is already seen, and once it's seen, the eradication will take place. The eradication will take place, and therefore, at the first level of enlightenment, the three factors are eradicated, which is the wrong view of the self or soul, the Sakkaya Ditthi, and then the wrong view of attachment to the rites and rituals, thinking that right or believing that the rite and rituals will give you enlightenment, and also the skeptical doubt. The skeptical doubt. There are two types of defilements. One is a wrong view as a defilement, and skeptical doubt as a defilement. So these two defilements is totally eradicated. These two defilements is totally eradicated. So they will not happen anymore in the future. Even the conditions are there. So whether you have a theoretical knowledge or without the theoretical knowledge, then you will still eradicate that defilements. Would one get more resultant karma at this level if not realize and commit unwholesome karma on mental type of defilement, if one not sure or not really reach the path or sotapanna? Now here, let's say a mental defilement, let's say anger, all right? Supposing that, sotapanna can still get angry. You can still get angry if you still get angry. Now, if the sotapanna gets angry, even he doesn't realize that he's a sotapanna. But that anger, first of all, it will not lead to breaking of precepts. It will not lead to the breaking of precepts. And then also with that anger too, it will not lead to the woeful states. But it's still able to produce karma because that defilement is not eradicated yet. But that defilement will not able to bring you into the woeful states. So even a person, whether he's enlightened or whether he realized that he's enlightened or not, so nevertheless, whatever unwholesome mental action arises or mental thoughts arises, then it will not lead them to woeful states. Whether he knows it or he doesn't know it does not matter. There are these are not many. There are few yogis who really just pass through. For a while, at least they pass through for a while. They don't realize that they already passed through Nibbana. But one thing is that what they see, a lot of things is changing in their meditation. But they are not sometimes they are not very sure whether this is enlightenment or not. Okay, so these are the things. You commit unwholesome karma. So as long as one is sotapanna, whether one realize it or not does not matter. This type of unwholesome karma does not have powerful resultant in the future. Okay. All right. Number 4. Question 5. Is there evidence that more precepts you observe, for example, 8 or 10 precepts, and the better the speed of entering into Phala Samapatti and Jhana? Well, is there any evidence? Let's say put in here also 5 precept, 10 precept, 227 precept, 311 precept, all those precepts. Let's say, will it speed the entering into Pala Samapati and jhana. For those who do not know what is Pala Samapati, this is absorption into the Pala, the friction. That means absorb into Nibbana in that sense. So, is there any evidence? Actually, there are evidence, but not from precepts. Precepts here, it gives you the indirect way. Here is what the Buddha mentioned. The next one. Thus, Ananda, the purpose of and benefit of wholesome virtuous behavior is non-regret. The purpose and benefit of non-regret is joy. The purpose and benefit of joy is rapture. The purpose and benefit of rapture is tranquility. The purpose and benefit of tranquility is pleasure. The purpose and benefit of pleasure is concentration. The purpose and benefit of concentration is the knowledge and vision of things as they really are. The purpose of and benefit of knowledge and vision of things as they really are is disenchantment and dispassion. And the purpose and benefit of disenchantment and dispassion is the knowledge of vision of liberation. Thus, Ananda, wholesome virtuous behavior progressively leads to the foremost. This you can find it from Anguttara Nikaya 10.1. It was before this, just, I already take up an excerpt from it. It's not the whole sutta. A whole sutta is like Ananda asking one question, the Buddha answer one. Ananda asks another one, the Buddha answer another one. So after that, at the end, the Buddha summarized the whole thing for this one. So here, what it means here is that if it's related to the question again, is there evidence of precepts leads to a entering of Pala Samapati and jhana? Put it in this way. The precepts, the morality, and so on, those are smooth your way towards enlightenment, or towards jhana, or towards Pala Samapati. It does not quicken it. It does not, it will quicken it indirectly, but more directly is that it smooths the path. It smooths the path. There are, when we see a yogi, how fast they progress, the Buddha put it in 4 different ways. 4 different types of yogi. One yogi is slow and difficult. Slow and difficult. The next one is slow but easy. Slow but easy. The third one is fast and difficult. And the fourth one is fast and easy. What I mean by slow and difficult? Slow here means that he has a difficulty, he is slowly able to penetrate what is going on in the object of this meditation and its progress. Difficult in the sense that you have to go through a lot of your defilements. A lot of defilements that's going through. You have to meditate, and then you have a lot of thinking, you have a lot of sleepiness, and so on, So, slow and difficult. Fast means that your mental faculties are sharp, clear, penetrative. Then the word easy means you do not have much of, or you don't have much of defilements or thinking or sleepiness and so on. So therefore, the first one, if it's slow and difficult, it means that when you develop, you have to go through a lot of sleepiness, a lot of regret, or a lot of thinking thoughts, a lot of all these things. That it makes that's where we put it as difficult. Slow because you cannot penetrate what is going on. You cannot see what is going on. So the next one is slow. Mental faculties is not so sharp, but it doesn't have much of a sleepiness, doesn't much have of thinking, of disturbing thoughts and so on. Yeah? So progress also very slow, but not much of all this stuff, thoughts and thinking. So another yogi is the fast one. Yeah? The fast one, that means that they are very sharp, but at the same time, their defilements also strong. Defilements are strong, so they have to deal with a lot of thinking, a lot of sleepiness. Although they can progress quite fast, whenever the defilements are not there, they can able to penetrate through quite clearly. Yeah. And then, of course, the best one will be fast and easy. That means they have not much of thinking, not much of a sleepiness, and their mind is very sharp. Then they progress very fast. Yeah? So, for the speed, your faculties, that means that your mindfulness, your effort, your concentration, your wisdom power, your confidence, your what else, these are really important. Especially these five is really important for the penetrative into the nature of the object. So that one more directly to the speed of entering. Yeah. But for those, but still, although when we get enlightened, you also have to observe your morality too. In the sense that this type of morality, let's say you are in the retreat center, and then you're already Sotapanna, and then in the next sitting, you want to enter into Palasamapati, or you want to enter into jhana. You want to go into any of these absorptions. Before the sitting, or for that particular day, you should not be like talking all here and there. If you are talking and if you are teaching and all that thing, then the next sitting is going to have a difficulty for you to go into Palasamapati or into jhana. So in the sense that the talking part, or you're giving a talk or whatever it is, that too you have to put it all aside. So these are verbal, in the sense of verbal, and also the action. Those things you have to keep it all aside in order for you the next sitting you can able to enter into Palasamapati or jhana. So indirectly, the morality prevents the defilements from arising. It prevents the defilement from arising. So therefore, when you go into the sitting, the mind easier for it to penetrate, and then therefore it goes into Palasamapati. So here the precepts are that we all keep every time, day in, day out, and we chant again and again every day. This is also to remind us to keep our precepts, so that we don't break all these unwholesome things. Because once you break these precepts, then the first thing it will come is the regret part. Then with the regret part, and then after that, your mind is down, is anxiety, is sad, everything you cannot do. But once you have virtuous behavior, then non-regret is the first thing. Then second thing, after the non-regret, this one is pamoja, joy. Then this joy here, it's difficult to translate. Sometimes they translate as gladness. Gladness means that you are generally, every day you are happy, you are glad, Not because the gladness, not because you remember of your precept, but because of you don't break all these things, there's no fear in you. There's no fear in you. There's no anxiety inside you. Then kind of like every day you are quite glad. You're quite joyful in that sense. So that is what we call pamoja. But when it comes into piti, and the next thing is piti here, is that when you already go into the meditation part, because this piti here is more towards the meditation development. So the word piti here, and then after that tranquility, sukha here is all within the mental development already. So the first two or three, where we have virtuous behavior, non-regret, pamoja, then these are within like our everyday life thing, when we are not in the meditation. So the word is, sometimes they translate that joy as gladness, everyday gladness. Sometimes or maybe one time I read that this pamoja is like the initial type of joy, whereas the piti in the rapture is like a more stronger type of joy, more towards the meditation type of joy, whereas the pamoja here is like an everyday type of joy. So you can see that when a person breaks the precept or breaks a lot of stealing and so on, their mind is not calm. The mind is always have a lot of fear that other people may steal from them, they may get caught, they may get things like that. So the mind has not type of joy, the everyday type of joy. So with that, it brings you into pala samapatti and jhana, or both of these are just absorption. All right. Okay. Next question, which is connected to this one, and this one is they send me the picture also. So it comes out with a picture. So question 6, may Bhante advise how to overcome emotion of regret? Now then here the answer is here again. Virtuous behavior, non-regret. Anyway, sometimes sometimes you all get this type of pictures like in your Facebook, or some people like in the morning they just send to you these things, or sometimes in the WhatsApp you open up, you see this type of pictures. I just let me remind you, not all these things are correct, not all these things are real. So because sometimes there are some people, everything people send to them must be real, especially during the beginning of the lockdown or MCO in the version 1 last year. People get so panicked. There are people who any news that come into their WhatsApp must be real already. Bhante, look, is it real or not real? Yeah, they are panic first. So this type of things also, you all got to be careful, when a lot of all these things comes in. Just because that they write it nicely, got pictures and all that, so it must be real. Some memories can never be shared with anyone. Yes, of course, but not all is true. So here is mostly in regards to the emotion of regret. So just now, as what the Buddha says, virtuous behavior, that means if you keep your precepts, and if you do dana, if you have gratitude towards your parents and those people who have supported you, and you have listened to the Dhamma, or you are giving Dhamma talks, or you transfer merits, and you do a lot of service to those who are in need. When you do a lot of all these wholesome actions, then there's not much for you to regret. Then there's a lot of joy in your life, at least the pamoja type of joy in your life. So we have to prevent from us to getting into a lot of this strong regret. Of course, all of us have regrets because in the past we may not have we are not that wise, and then we broke uh, the precepts, and then we kill or we steal, and then when we look back, then we regret, of course. So what are we going to do when the regret is already there? Prevention, of course, we know by keeping with our wholesome actions and avoiding the unwholesome actions. Then, but to overcome them, this regret, what are we going to do? Now, this emotion of regret, sometimes we have to open up. If you are not a meditator, sometimes we have to open up to some people who are wise enough, who can able to guide you to go through this regretful type of emotion. Sometimes, for example, that somebody died, and you blame yourself for it. And when you blame yourself that you find that you have not done this or that, then you regret because of that. And throughout your life, even though perhaps it may not be your fault, but you think that it's your fault, then you keep that regret. You keep that regret over time. Then over a certain time, if let's say you meet with the Dhamma and you meet with some Dhamma friends who are a bit more wiser, and then you open up on these things. And when they open up, then they say that, well, these are not your fault. After all, you've done what you have done to your best of your ability, or perhaps that you thought that you knocked somebody, then you feel regretful. Then some of your Kalyana Mita will tell you, perhaps this you do not have intention at all, to kill somebody, and therefore with that understanding, the whole regret is, totally lifted. Then you are totally free from that. So sometimes talking with another person who is wise enough will be very good. So if not, sometimes this regret, we do not know how your mind is thinking or the person's mind is thinking, and then they can get into a lot of entanglement inside, and then with that regret, it goes into a lot of anxiety, depression, and so on. So this is one way we can able to open up. So understanding the Dhamma also is sometimes very good also, that it helps us to overcome the regret. So sometimes we have to learn to accept the regret as it is. Now during the retreat also, this type of regret and worry, that it comes up in the meditation, we also have to deal with them, especially if you are more towards the Vipassana type. You're more Samatha type, you are just, whatever thoughts you come in, you just put it aside. You don't deal with them, you just put it aside, you just keep on to your Samatha objects. Whereas Vipassana is different. Vipassana, when the regret becomes a prominent object, that means you look into the mind, it goes into the past, and then you see the ugly type of visions that you're able to see in your thoughts. So therefore here, you have to pay attention as they really are. You have to pay attention as they really are. Initially, your tears will come out. You're going to have a lot of tears coming out. But you've got to be strong enough. Keep on facing it whenever it arises. You don't provoke it to arise, but whenever it arises, you pay attention to it. Then this time, you note it as regret. Your mind initially will keep on going into the story, and then you flow with it. But if you keep on labeling it, so this time is one of the good times to bring back the labeling. Because the mind is not strong right now. So you use the labeling and you note it regret. And then it helps the mind to pull the mind out from that story, from the vision. Then this time, if you do it long enough, if your mindfulness gets stronger, clearer, in the future, then that regret, that emotion of regret will be overcome. But the vision, that vision of yours, of the memory of yours, that one will not be erased. But the memory does not give rise to any more regret in the future. It's just that you see it as a memory, it's just passed through. Just like in the knowledge of equanimity of formations, whenever any thoughts arises at a happy or this one, the mind looks at it with equanimity. That means there's, instead of regret arises, this time it's taken over by mindfulness and equanimity and concentration. So too, before you reach this knowledge, while you're meditating too, at times when the mindfulness is strong and clear, you can see that this type of regret does not affect you that much. Those days it affects you and your tears come out. This time you just watch it and then the tears does not come out anymore. And you just watch it as the thoughts pass through. Okay? So this is one way we can able to overcome the regret going through Vipassana. But nevertheless, as your mindfulness gets stronger, clearer, and more powerful, this type of defilements doesn't affect you that much anymore. But if it's very strong one, then every now and then it will affect you, especially in the beginning part of your development, because your mind is not strong. So these things will keep on coming and coming and coming and coming and coming. So a lot of times during in the retreat, every now and then we'll see yogis come into the interview room. Then a lot of tears come out. So what can I do? I give them tissue paper only, and also give them some good advice only. So they have to go through all those things. Okay, so that's about all for tonight on the Q&A session. And the next talk will be on Monday again. Monday, we'll go back to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Only on this week, we'll do on these even days. Okay, so we share merits.